Tech scams, identity thieves, data leaks. Hearing about these online threats every day can be stressful. But don't worry. McAfee Total Protection is here to help you live a worry-free life online. What does worry-free mean? Well, it means you won't have to wonder if that text message is a scam, if new threats will pop up on your PC, or if you're safe from identity theft. Visit McAfee.com/online protection today to get award-winning online protection for just $39.99 your first year. That's McAfee.com/online protection. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Hey everybody, ready to crack the code on landing your dream job?
Ooh, I like that, cracking the code.
Well, we're going to try. Today we're diving deep into some advice from a real pro career expert, Dana Manciagli. She's helped tons of people find amazing jobs, and get this, she says most people make a big mistake before they even send out a resume.
Really? Before they even send out a resume? That's gotta be like square one.
I know, right? But that's why we're doing this deep dive. We're going to break it all down. So whether you're out there pounding the pavement right now or just want to be ready when the time comes, stick with us.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so let's get into it. Dana calls her approach ready, aim, get hired. Kind of like, well, like you're getting ready for a big game or something.
I like that. You gotta have a game plan.
Exactly. And she says most people skip the ready part entirely, and that's where they go wrong.
That's interesting. So what's the big deal about this ready phase? What does it even mean?
Well, it's all about being strategic and intentional. Like most of us just want to dive right into sending out applications, right?
Oh, for sure. I've totally been there.
But Dana says that's like setting off on a road trip without a map. You might get somewhere eventually, but it's going to be a long and frustrating ride.
Okay, that makes sense. So we need a map. Where do we even start?
It all starts with knowing where you want to go. Dana calls it defining your goal. Sounds simple, but apparently a lot of people can't even answer the question, what kind of job do you want?
Yeah, I can see that. Like sometimes it feels like anything would be better than what you're doing now, but you need more direction than that.
Right. So Dana breaks it down into this simple formula. She says, figure out the function, the industry, and the city. So like, I want to be a, let's say a graphic designer in the tech industry in Austin, Texas.
Okay, that's specific. I like it. So we've got our destination. Now we need directions, right?
And that's where those sometimes kind of scary job descriptions come in.
Oh, yeah, those things can be intimidating. Like, do I really need 10 years of experience for an entry-level job?
I know, right? But Dana says job descriptions are often written for the perfect candidate, which, let's be real, doesn't exist.
Okay, so they're kind of like a wish list then.
Exactly. So instead of getting overwhelmed by all the requirements, Dana says to use them as a guide. Figure out what the core skills are, pinpoint any gaps you might have, and maybe even discover some new opportunities you hadn't thought of before.
So it's more about understanding what they're really looking for, even if they don't say it directly.
Yeah, it's kind of like using a recipe for inspiration, not as a set of strict rules.
Oh, I like that.
Dana actually tells this great story about an ammunition truck driver who transitioned into a tech career.
Whoa, wait, what? Ammunition truck driver to tech. How'd that happen?
He didn't have any formal tech experience, but he was able to showcase other skills, like problem solving and working under pressure, and that's what landed him the job.
That's amazing. It's like you never know what kind of experience might actually be relevant.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got our goal. We've figured out the job description code. Now it's time to start applying, right?
Yeah.
Just fire off as many applications as possible.
Hold on there. That's where the AIM part of Dana's framework comes in, and she's very clear on this. Randomly applying for everything is a big no-no. It's like shooting arrows in the dark and hoping one hits the target.
Yeah, I can see that being a waste of time.
And energy. Plus, it can actually hurt your chances of getting hired.
Really? How so?
Well, first of all, hiring managers can spot a generic application a mile away.
I bet. I used to get so many resumes that were completely irrelevant to the job I was hiring for. Like, did you even read the description?
And then there's the ATS, the applicant tracking system. It's basically a digital gatekeeper that scans your resume for keywords and filters out the ones that don't match the job requirements.
Wait, so if I just blast out a generic resume, It might not even reach a human.
Exactly. The ATS is looking for specific ingredients in your resume recipe, and if you just throw in a bunch of random stuff, it's going straight to the no pile.
Wow, okay, that's a good point. So how do we make sure our resumes actually pass the ATS test and get seen by a real person?
It's all about tailoring your resume to each specific job. Use keywords from the job description and really highlight the skills and experiences that are most relevant to that particular role.
So it's quality over quantity.
100%. Focus on crafting a few really targeted applications instead of sending out 100 generic ones.
Got it. Quality over quantity. Now, speaking of aiming for the right target, Dana had a pretty bold prediction about the future of job hunting.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
She said that in 5 years, recruiters will primarily use LinkedIn to find candidates. What do you think about that?
I think she's probably right. It's all about your online presence these days. Your LinkedIn profile is like your digital storefront, and you want to make sure it's looking good and attracting customers.
So is it more important than our actual resume now?
Dana thinks so, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So how do we make our LinkedIn profile stand out? Do we just copy and paste our resume over there?
Actually, Dana recommends doing it the other way around. Create a strong resume first, and then use that as the foundation for your LinkedIn profile.
So we're not duplicating effort and everything is consistent.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got a polished resume, a sparkling LinkedIn profile. We're ready to conquer those interviews, right?
Well, almost. Remember, Dana's all about being prepared, right?
All right.
She's a big believer in practicing for interviews even before you have one lined up.
That makes sense. It's like athletes training for a big game. They don't just show up and wing it.
Exactly. And one of the best things you can do is write out answers to common interview questions.
Especially that dreaded, tell me about yourself opener.
Oh, yeah, that one can be a tough one.
I always feel like I'm rambling when I answer that one.
Dana actually has some great advice on how to structure your response to that one. And she has a brilliant framework for those tricky behavioral questions. Like, tell me about a time when...
Okay, I got to hear about this framework. What's the secret sauce?
It's called the SAR framework. Situation, action, result. It helps you tell a story that highlights your skills and accomplishments.
Ooh, people love stories. It's way more engaging than just listing facts and figures.
Exactly. And Dana actually uses a great story about a challenging coworker to illustrate how to use this framework effectively. It's about turning what could be a negative experience into a showcase of your problem-solving skills.
Okay, that's smart. So we've got the SAR framework for behavioral questions, and we're going to use stories to make ourselves more memorable. What else can we do to really nail those interviews?
Well, Dana encourages job seekers to be a little bit loud and proud in their interviews.
Loud and proud. Doesn't that sound a little, I don't know, risky?
No. She doesn't mean being arrogant or overbearing. It's about projecting confidence and enthusiasm, showing the interviewer that you're excited about the opportunity and you believe in yourself.
Ah, okay. So loud and proud means letting your passion shine through.
Exactly. And enthusiasm can be contagious, I bet interviewers can spot a genuinely passionate candidate a mile away.
For sure. Now, what about those awkward silences that can sometimes happen in interviews? Any advice on how to handle those gracefully?
Dana says it's okay to take a moment to collect your thoughts before answering a question. Don't feel pressured to fill every silence with words.
Sometimes I think I start rambling just to avoid those awkward pauses.
I'll get it. But a brief pause to gather your thoughts can actually make you seem more thoughtful and composed. And if you're not sure what the interviewer is asking, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. It's much better than giving a rambling, incoherent answer.
Okay, so breathe, clarify if needed, then deliver a thoughtful response. Got it. Now let's talk about what happens after the interview. Is a simple thank you note enough?
Dana actually goes beyond the standard thank you note. She recommends following up 3 times, spaced about a week apart.
3 times. Wow, okay. But it's not just about checking in, right?
Nope. It's about adding value to the conversation. You could share an article that's relevant to the company's industry, or highlight a recent accomplishment that aligns with the job requirements, or even just mention something specific you discussed during the interview.
So it's about staying on their radar without being annoying.
Right. And if they're really interested in you, they won't be put off by a well-crafted follow-up. They might even appreciate your initiative.
That's good to know. So we've covered the ready and the aim phases of Dana's framework.
We have.
And I'm guessing Get Hired is all about acing those interviews, but there's got to be more to it than that.
Oh, you better believe it. There's a whole lot more to uncover when it comes to landing that dream job.
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, get ready, because we're diving even deeper in part 2 of our Dana Ackley deep dive.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back and ready to keep unpacking Dana Ackley's job search wisdom. Last time we left off talking about how to really rock those interview questions. Yes. And the SAR framework we talked about, that's super helpful for those behavioral questions like tell me about a time when...
It's all about telling a story, right?
Right. And Dana actually has this great story about a challenging coworker. She really emphasizes how important the result part of that framework is. It's not enough to just talk about what you did, you have to show the impact.
Oh, that makes sense. Like, how did your actions actually make a difference?
Exactly. Did you save the company money? Did you improve efficiency? Or maybe even boost team morale? All of those things are results worth mentioning.
So it's not bragging, it's just showing what you're capable of.
Right. And even those tell me about a time you failed questions can be a chance to show off your skills.
Wait, really?
Mm.
How do you spin a failure into a positive?
It's all about owning your mistakes and talking about what you learned from them. It shows self-awareness and a willingness to grow.
Yeah, and that's good, right?
Definitely. Employers love that kind of stuff. Okay, so you've got the SAR framework, you're ready to tell your stories. But these days, interviews can take a lot of different forms.
Yeah, it's not always just a face-to-face meeting anymore, is it?
Not at all. You might have a phone interview, a video interview, or even multiple rounds of interviews before you actually meet anyone in person.
It's like an obstacle course.
It can feel that way sometimes, but each type of interview comes with its own unique challenges and opportunities.
So let's break it down. What about phone interviews? Any tips for those?
Well, since they can't see you, you got to make sure your voice and personality really shine through.
Oh, that's hard. I hate talking on the phone.
I know, it can be awkward, but just try to be clear, enthusiastic, and a good listener.
Okay. And what about video interviews? Those can be even more nerve-wracking.
Right. Video interviews are almost like mini productions. Think about your background, the lighting, what you're wearing. Make eye contact with the camera, and try to forget that you're on camera.
And test your technology beforehand, right? The last thing you want is for your internet to cut out in the middle of the interview.
Oh, totally. Okay, so we've talked about different interview formats, but what about just general tips for making a good impression?
Yeah. How do we stand out from all the other candidates?
Well, a lot of it comes down to being authentic and engaging. Let your personality show, but also be professional.
Right. It's about finding that balance.
And active listening is huge. It's not just about answering the questions. It's about showing that you're really paying attention and interested in what they have to say.
Makes sense. And what about asking questions? Is that a good idea?
Oh, absolutely. Asking insightful questions shows that you're curious and that you've been thinking critically about the role.
It also gives you a chance to learn more about the company and make sure it's a good fit for you.
Exactly. Now, Dana also talks about the power of storytelling. She says it's a great way to make yourself more memorable.
Oh, yeah. Stories are powerful.
Think about it. Would you rather listen to someone drone on about their responsibilities or hear a captivating story about how they overcame a challenge?
I'd much rather hear a story. But how do we use stories effectively in interviews?
Well, the SAR framework can help you structure your story, make sure it's clear and concise.
Okay, so SAR for behavioral questions, stories for a personal touch. What else can we do to really seal the deal?
Dana encourages people to be a little loud and proud in their interviews.
Wait, loud and proud. Again, I thought we talked about that.
We did, but it's important. Remember, she doesn't mean being arrogant or anything. It's about showing your enthusiasm and confidence. Let the interviewer see that you're excited about the opportunity.
So basically, loud and proud means letting your passion shine through.
Exactly. And enthusiasm can be a real game changer, especially when everyone else is playing it safe.
I like it. Okay, now what about those awkward silences? Any tips on how to handle those gracefully?
Dana says it's okay to take a moment to collect your thoughts. You don't have to fill every silence with words.
Sometimes I feel like I ramble just to avoid those awkward pauses.
It's a common reaction, but a brief pause can actually make you seem more thoughtful and composed. And if you don't understand the question, just ask for clarification.
That makes sense. All right, so breathe, clarify if needed, then give a thoughtful response. Now, what about after the interview? What does Dana say about follow-up?
Well, she recommends going beyond the standard thank you note. She suggests following up 3 times, spaced about a week apart.
3 times. Wow. Okay, but what are we supposed to say? Just checking in?
Definitely not. You want to add value to the conversation. Share an article, highlight a relevant accomplishment, or mention something you discussed during the interview.
So basically, keep the conversation going, but don't be annoying about it.
Right. If they're interested, they'll appreciate it.
So we've covered ready and aim. Now I'm guessing get hired is all about those interview skills.
Well, that's definitely a big part of it, but there's more to landing your dream job than just nailing the interview.
Ooh, there's more.
Always. We'll be right back with part 3 of our deep dive into Dana Ackley's no-nonsense job search advice.
All right, welcome back to our Dana Ackley deep dive. So far, we've tackled resumes, LinkedIn, interviews, and even networking. What else is there?
Well, now we're getting to the good stuff, the job offer.
That's what it's all about, right? The moment we've all been working towards.
Exactly. But Dana says a lot of people make a mistake at this stage, too.
Really? What do we got to watch out for?
Well, it's natural to be so relieved and excited when you get that offer that you just want to say yes right away.
I can totally see that.
But Dana says almost every offer is negotiable.
You mean like we can ask for more money?
Money, benefits, even things like professional development opportunities.
So it's not greedy to try to negotiate.
Not at all. It's about knowing your worth and being willing to advocate for yourself.
But how do we do that without, seeming demanding or ruining our chances?
It's all about being prepared and approaching the conversation as a collaboration, not a confrontation.
Okay, that makes sense. So where do we start?
Do your research. Figure out what the market rate is for someone with your skills and experience. There are websites that can help with that.
Oh, that's good to know. And then what? Just come right out and say, I want more.
Well, you want to be a little more tactful than that. But yeah, be prepared to justify your request. Highlight your accomplishments and the value you bring to the table.
And be ready to compromise, right? It's a negotiation, not a demand.
Exactly. The goal is to find a solution that works for both sides.
I like it. So we've got the job, we've negotiated a great offer, we're ready to start our awesome new career. But what about those times when the job search just feels endless and you're starting to lose hope?
That's a really important point. Job hunting can be tough, and it's easy to get discouraged. Dana talks a lot about staying motivated throughout the process.
Because it can be a process, for sure.
It definitely can be. And it's okay to feel frustrated, but it's important to find ways to keep your spirits up.
So what can we do to stay positive when it feels like we're hitting a wall?
Well, Dana emphasizes self-care. Make sure you're taking breaks, doing things you enjoy, spending time with people who support you, and celebrate the small victories along the way.
Like just finishing an application is a victory.
Exactly. Give yourself credit for every step forward, no matter how small it seems.
It's important to remember why we're doing this, right? It's not just about getting any job. It's about finding the right job for us.
Right. It's about finding a career that aligns with our values, passions, and goals.
So we got to keep our eyes on the prize.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Dana Ackley's advice, what's one thing that really resonated with you? What's one piece of wisdom you'll take with you on your job search journey?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Head over to our website or social media and share your biggest takeaway. Until next time, happy hunting.